Okay, so when you sit down to think, to really dig into a problem or an idea, what's your go-to move? Are you the architect, carefully laying out a grand design piece by piece? Or are you more like a jazz soloist, just improvising and seeing where the music takes you? Today, we're looking at two incredible thinking tools that are basically the embodiment of those two styles, mind mapping and fractal gridding. And the real question is, which one is yours?
So I want you to really think about it for a second. Is your natural thinking style more like a spontaneous, off-the-cuff jazz solo or a detailed, meticulously planned grand design? Now, this isn't just some fun personality quiz, I promise. It's actually the key to figuring out which tool is going to work best for you and any given situation. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly which one to grab.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down this whole jazz versus architecture idea. Then we'll do a deep dive on mind mapping, our soloist, and then on fractal gridding, the architect. We'll even see what an AI has to say about it all, and then we'll wrap up with how you can choose the perfect thinking tool.
All right, let's get right into it. These two philosophies, they're not just random ideas. They were actually pioneered by two different thinkers. Tony Buzan, the guy behind mind mapping, and Dr. Rod King, who developed fractal gridding. Both of them were trying to answer the same question. How do we organize our thoughts in a way that actually clicks?
And this image, well, it just nails the whole concept. Think of mind mapping as that jazz solo. It's all about flow, creativity, and following those little sparks of inspiration. But then you have fractal gridding, and that's pure architecture. It's about building a solid, scalable, and sustainable structure for your ideas to live in. One is for exploration, the other is for construction.
Let's break this down a bit more. Look at the core logic. It's night and day. Mind mapping is radial, it's associative. It grows kind of like a tree, with branches going everywhere. Fractal gridding, on the other hand, is modular and systemic. It's like building with Legos. This means one is all about spontaneity, while the other actually uses the structure, the constraints, to drive innovation. They're just built for completely different jobs.
All right, first up, let's talk about our jazz soloist, mind mapping. This is the tool you grab when you want to just explore, connect ideas, and get stuff down without feeling boxed in by some rigid structure. It really is the art of organic association. At its heart, mind mapping is really just answering one simple but super powerful question. What else comes to mind? That's it. It's all about divergent thinking, just casting your net as wide as possible to see what ideas you can pull in.
And this is where mind mapping is just brilliant. It's perfect for that low-pressure brainstorming, because it basically mimics how our brains naturally work, jumping from one idea to another. It puts you in this playful, creative state. You can get a huge, big-picture view of a topic, throw in doodles, draw connections. It's all about capturing those fleeting thoughts the second they pop into your head.
Okay, but what happens after you've got all those great ideas floating around? Well, that's when it's time to call in the architect, fractal gridding. This is the science of systemic structure. This isn't just about catching ideas. It's about building a powerful, organized system to put them in.
And see, here's the complete flip side. The question that drives this tool is, where does this fit in the system? This is all about convergent thinking. It's not just about the idea itself, but about how that idea logically connects and relates to everything else around it.
And its strengths? Well, they're on a whole other level. This tool shifts you into a more analytical, critical mindset. It lets you model entire systems, make complex ethical decisions with real rigor, and even use the structure to find gaps you didn't know existed. And it all stems from this incredible feature. It's superpower, really, something called nested modular zooming. Okay, what on earth is nested zooming? This is the absolute game changer. Imagine you have a grid, and inside any one of those little cells, you can open up a whole new grid. And you can do that again and again infinitely. It means you can zoom from, say, a 30,000-foot view of an entire industry all the way down to a single tiny task, and it's all perfectly organized. Now that is scalability.
And get this, it's not just about taking notes. With frameworks like COPS MVS, your grid literally becomes a testable business model. You define the customer, the output, the performance, the supplier, and suddenly your idea isn't just an idea anymore. It's a minimum viable system you can actually analyze and poke holes in. This is so far beyond simple brainstorming.
So we have the free-flowing soloist and the systematic architect. But let's throw a curveball in here. In this day and age, what would a non-human, an advanced AI, pick as its main thinking tool? The answer is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, when an advanced AI like ChatGPT was asked this exact question, it came back with a pretty clear answer:
it preferred fractal gridding. Now, that's interesting, right? It kind of suggests that for the massively complex, interconnected problems we're all facing today, structure might just have the upper hand.
So why? Why would an AI pick structure over freedom? Well, the logic is pretty solid. It wants systemic depth, not just surface-level connections, so it can actually model complexity. It loves standardization because that's how you scale knowledge. And what's really cool is that it sees the structure itself as a way to innovate by finding the empty boxes and asking, what's missing here? And maybe most importantly, it needs a system where ethics are baked right in from the start.
But wait a minute, this isn't a total takedown of mind mapping. Not at all. Even the AI said, hey, for certain jobs, I'd still pick a mind map. And it makes perfect sense. For that pure, no-holds-barred brainstorming for artistic expression, or for just jotting down a quick thought before it disappears, the speed and freedom of mind mapping is still the undisputed champ. It always comes down to the right tool for the job.
And that brings us to the most important part of all of this. How does it apply to you? Because this isn't about picking a winner. It's about building your own personal toolkit and knowing when it's time to pull out the sketchbook versus when it's time to pull out the blueprints.
So let's make this super simple. Here's your cheat sheet. The rule of thumb is this: if you need to expand your thinking, generate a ton of ideas, and just embrace the chaos, you're the jazz soloist. Grab a mind map. But if you need to analyze, compare, structure, and build a rock-solid system, you're the architect, and you need a fractal grid. Your choice depends completely on what you're trying to accomplish.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Every single time you think, there's some kind of structure there, whether you realize it or not. So the real question for you is, what role do you need to play right now for this specific challenge? Do you need to be the jazz soloist, riffing and exploring the edges of what's possible? Or do you need to be the architect, building something strong, logical, and designed to last? Knowing the difference? Well, that's everything.